is proudly sponsored by Glasby Pallets. They're offering a one-stop solution for all of your pallet needs. Get in touch on 01709 585 646 to discuss your pallet requirements. Thank you to Sonny and the team at Glasby Pallets for all their support of Behind the Ramble.
Coops here. Subscribe to Blade's Ramble. Keep following, and all the best.
The Poohousery.
The Poohousery. What is happening, Blades? And welcome back to the Blades Ramble. I am, of course, Jimmy, and this is a very different sort. It was behind the Ramble, actually, isn't it? That's an automatic faux pas, but yeah, this is a very different one. This is a one that I wasn't brave enough to put on the Blades Ramble. In all fairness, I have to completely hold my hands up with that one. It's a controversial one because we never talk about the blue half on either of our channels. We just don't acknowledge them. It is part of the way we roll, really. We might come on to that in a minute, but it is the part of the way we do things that they have been so insignificant to us. And I'll say that, and I know we're going to go back and forth a little bit on this certainly for the time that we've been doing this, but for the last 5, 6. Whenever that 4-2 game came about, that was the turning point for me and a lot of Blades. And we've not looked back since, really. Yes, we're in the same division, which brings you a lot closer together. Yes, we still hate those games when they come around, and I'm sure they hate them as well, but they'll like them more now that they're underdogs. It's a controversial thing to not only discuss them on the channel, but to bring on a leading Wednesday podcast. So we've got James Mappin on coming from Wednesday Till I Die podcast, cousin of Jordan Motson, the man on the mic. And I'm looking forward to the discussion. It's taken a bit of a turn because when we originally set this up, I asked him if he fancied coming on about a week ago or something like that, and we were going to plan for Monday. And then it was my reasoning that I couldn't do it. I think we'd rescheduled, and there was something already on that we couldn't do it. So we had to reschedule for tonight. Now, since that time, basically the reason for me setting it up was I wanted, around the time I proposed it, Chansiri was not paying the staff, and the players were just about to walk out. Danny Rohl were touting himself to every club that would even entertain him. He wanted the Sheffield United job. We'll talk about that as well. I know that's the case. So he was being hounded out to a degree by some Wednesdayites, and now it's taken a bit of a turn because I don't know whether he's settled up Chansiri in terms of paying some of the staff. I don't believe he has, but we'll soon find out. Some of the players are on their way, but it looks like there might be a bit of light at the end of the tunnel for some of these Wednesdayites because Danny Rohl said to be doing a bit of a U-turn and possibly coming back to the dugout at Wendy's, and it's just going to be interesting to see how they react to that if that does indeed happen. Fair play to him for fulfilling his contract. I think it's a heroic thing to do, but we'll soon find out. So without any further ado, let me welcome on my guest tonight. It's James from the Wednesday Till I Die podcast. How are you going, pal?
I'm all right. Thank you very much, Jimmy. Thanks for having me on. I'm not sure whether it was a good idea to come on here or not, but we'll see. We'll see how it pans out.
I think we're both as it's uncharted waters, isn't it, mate, really, for us? But I know we've been on, you've been on before to do a bit of a preview for game, and I think that fit with what were happening in the season. But to discuss topics outside of game time and stuff like that and sort of crossover, we might get a few from both sides watching this, and some might not be happy about it at all that we're even together and discussing it, because at the time I proposed this to you, mate, as I sort of briefly touched on, a lot of Unitedites, some, don't get me wrong, will laugh all day long, and there'll be no love lost, and some Unitedites will be absolutely laughing about it. Others started to feel a little bit sorry, particularly for the staff, and yes, the players as well, because there's no right to not pay any players, even though they are higher paid in the grand scheme of things. But you need to pay your people. And the fact that Blades were sympathetic of you boys, I know, wound you up even more, didn't it? Because I've been watching some of your stuff, and yeah, you don't want us to empathise with you, because how far have you fallen if that becomes the case? So start from the very top, pal, in terms of where are we in terms of your leader, Def Pon? Has he started paying the people? Is there a chance of a takeover? What's happening with Danny Rohl? I try and say his name properly. It's Danny Rohl, isn't it? I think I listened to what you were saying.
Rohl, whatever. Don't matter.
Okay.
He's not going to be there anyway, so who cares?
Right. Okay. Go for it, mate. What is the latest?
Mate, honestly, it changes absolutely every single day. Like, honestly, my phone, my battery on my phone don't even last till dinner time. It's that mental.
I bet.
It's just constant. No, you wake up, and then you're just thinking, what is today going to bring? It's literally every single day there's something else, whether that's, well, I mean, the fact that the players and the staff haven't been paid is almost like a moot point now. Like, that's just
accepted as it happens. Yeah, it's an ongoing thing.
Yeah, it should be catastrophic that's happened, but it's just add it to the list of all the other things that are going wrong. You've got more ITK know-how people than you can shake a stick at. Everyone knows something that someone else doesn't. You don't know who to believe. Now, even journalists haven't got a clue what's happening either. Honestly, it is absolutely mental at the moment, and it's so just mentally tiring more than anything. Like, you always doing this sort of stuff. You get to pre-season and you're racking your brain. You're thinking, what am I going to talk about in pre-season when there's not a great deal happening? Like, literally, I've got a stack of stuff that I'm just going to put into next year because I've not even touched it this time around. Honestly, it's just, I've not even talked about any players or anything. Like, I don't even know there's hardly any players left.
I'm going to say, are there any players knocking about?
They won't be. I mean, I've been looking in under 23s, and I've got to kind of brush up on my skills of what they do, because we might be using them this season. But no, in all seriousness, the way it is at the moment is Danny Rohl is contracted. He's got another 2 years left on his contract, so he is the manager. When it comes to his playing staff, up until Monday, he didn't have anyone. All of his backroom staff were out of contract. Henrik Pedersen has now re-signed new contract as assistant manager, so he'll still be there. I'll come on to that in a second as well. But then in terms of players, we've got Barry Bannon, Akin Famewo, and Callum Patterson, who were all out of contract. Patterson and Famewo, they've gone. They're not signing a new deal, and I don't blame them, to be fair. Bannon
Patterson's not staying then.
No,
he's been with you a while, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. He's not. He said he's not going to sign a new contract, so he's gone. Right. Bannon is still knocking around. He's a volunteer at the moment because he hasn't got a contract, and he's just playing for nothing at the moment.
Is it right that he said he don't want to be paid until staff are paid?
That is the rumor. I've also heard that that's not true either.
Okay.
But I hope it is true, because that's a wonderful thing to say.
We don't like him, but what an incredible gesture if that's the case.
Yeah, exactly. And then we've also got the issue of unpaid wages, and there's FIFA regulations that, I mean, it is a bit a bit wishy-washy, to be fair, but apparently if you don't get paid 2 months consecutively, you can terminate your contract. We've got 6 players that have done that. One of those being Josh Windass. There was rumours of the other 5, but we don't know definitively who they are. So the squad is looking very, very bare, and we've got a record as well. I know we take the mick out of you for your honours board, but we're going to get this one on ours for the only club to have ever had 3 embargoes at any one time. So that's for non-payment of players, non-payment of HMRC tax bill, and then also you'll know this as the one that you got last season of not paying a club for a transfer fee, which is ironic because we don't pay for anyone.
Who's the club? Do you know?
Norwich, which is mental. Akin Famewo, £50,000 we bought him for 3 years ago. I mean, I think it can't surely be the 50 grand. There must be some sort of incentive further on down the line that has not been paid. The other one is Shea Charles. It's either the fee that they were asking for or wages or both. Obviously, the contribution to wages that we would have agreed to. So that's and apparently there's others as well. So I don't know what you were. You were on -2 at the start of last season, and you were panicking. Oh, -2. Chansiri's just gone. Hold me beer. Because I think we could be on a big number this season. Do you know what? I wouldn't surprise me if we're not even on the odds for relegation this season, because it's going to be absolutely nailed on. And that's
Do you think it is nailed on? Do you think it's nailed on? You go down.
Well, I mean, if we get a substantial points deduction. We were 7 points adrift when Danny Rohl came in, and we stayed up on the last day of the season. Fantastic effort. All right, I know we're 11 games into the season by that point. If we get something, 10, 12 points deducted, all right, it's the start of the season, you've got a few more games to do that. But the squad's worse than what it was before. I'm sure we'll come on to some of the players that reported to be leaving. But honestly, I mean, I'm just scratching the surface with all that stuff there. There's just a whole host of different things. You said about is a takeover close. I hope so. We're closer now than we have ever been. We've been wanting him to leave for many, many years. Ever since we got relegated from the Championship and went down into League One, that where he sold the stadium and put it into the wrong accounts. From that point on, I think quite a lot of people wanted him to leave. He is now having had multiple fans forums and saying that he will not he won't do anything to damage the club or anything like that. He has now actually done a bit of a U-turn and said that he will, he's got a broker in basically who's renowned for selling football clubs to actually facilitate that sort of deal. So we are, like I said, it's the furthest that we've ever been. There's reports today that there's 3 interested parties to buy the football club, but I'm not getting too excited because I don't know if you're aware of how selling football clubs work, but you have to do something called due diligence. I can't wait until they open the books up and have a look, because Jesus Christ, I think they're going to find some real stuff in there which might just scare them off.
We went through it, and it's such a protracted process now, particularly with new EFL regulations. It extends it beyond any sort of timescales you'd have expected. So potentially they'll fast track it just because of the chaos that this man's caused at the top. So we don't know at the minute, just in terms of Chansiri to sort of, well, I'm going to say to try and round it out, but obviously that's a huge part of what the problem is. That's the main issue that's been at your club. But do we know if he's settled up with the staff now and the players? Is it a case of now because he was late, these players can leave, or is there a chance that if he pays Josh Windass, then Josh Windass can't terminate his contract? Is that the situation?
Well, that's why it's a little bit up in the air, really, because my understanding is exactly what you've just said. If he does get paid, then that kind of resets the clock, and him handing his notice in is null and void, really, and he has to fulfill his contract. With his contract was, there was an option for him to extend on us, so we triggered that, much to his annoyance. He put some Instagram posts out of him like locked in jail and things like that. Which, do you know what? You need to follow Josh Windass. He is the captain cryptic. For cryptic messages,
I like him.
He's the one.
I like him because he's anti-Wednesday. So what are you feeling about? I mean, I'm all over the place with questions here, but what do fans feel about like Josh Windass sort of pushing back on stuff like that? Do they feel like it's a disloyalty to the club, or do they feel like he's justified in what he's doing because he's not been paid? What's the general thought process? I
mean, before all this happened, I think he kind of divided the fan base, and it's so annoying because you've got some players, that over the years that give 110% for the club. I mean, Jose Semedo, going back some years, is a prime example of this. Not a fantastic footballer, but put 110% effort in. I'm sure you've probably got players that the same when you look back. And, Callum Patterson is another one. Again, technically not great, but will always put all the effort in.
That's
and
right.
They go down as like a fan's favourite. Whereas Josh Windass, technically one of our best, if not the better players that we've got in the squad.
Yeah.
But there was a I don't celebrate goals in League One. I mean, that was something that his dad said, and then he kind of carried through with that. Really, not celebrating, just scores a goal, walks back to the halfway line, which kind of riled a few of the fans up. To be fair, quite a lot of fans, to be honest. Other stuff that he's done as well.
A couple of podcast appearances, weren't there?
He slagged
people
off one of the youngsters in the youth team as well, which is not really helped. He's quite outspoken character, and I think he's a model professional when on the pitch in terms of training and stuff. Don't go out. He's really dedicated and everything else. But as a fan, you just want someone to show a bit more passion, I feel. So it's a weird one. Like I said, one of our better players, but most fans will be like, yeah, get him gone. I don't want to see him there. But that's just when you've got your blue tinted glasses on, isn't it? Really, I think he will be missed if he does leave and he does go. He will. He's a good player for you, isn't he? He's a good player. He is. Yeah, and I think you just got to, just take him with a pinch of salt. I think really, like I said, he does like a bit of a cryptic message and stuff, and I'm sure he's good value. And scored many goals for he's our leading goal scorer this century. So that kind of says something for what he's done. I'm gonna hit you with some. Obviously, I've hit you with some big questions already. I'll hit you with one or two more maybe, and then we'll be steered by chat, because I think the reason for doing this is I think people are interested in whether we say it out loud or not. We are interested to know. Both sides, I think, are interested in what's going on at other half at City. Some call it obsessed. Others call it normal, to understand what your neighbours are doing. So it's interesting for us to hear. And I think I say it every time I come on here, but that word obsessed, it annoys me so much, because I go to work and my manager's a United fan, so I've got family who are United fans. Jordan, do you know what I mean? Like, so you still go to the same dudes, don't you? And still have a beer together, and it's all, you know what I mean? It's the team you support. Karaoke and still sings all them songs. So. But yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, so it's a big part of your life. Like, so to say obsessed, you're going to look at what your scores are when we win. I know it's rare, but when we win, you're going to have a look and see if you've slipped up. So that's what's going to happen, isn't it? Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. So the last thing, big hitter question I'll ask you for now, pal, is what's the crack with this turnaround with Danny Rill? So he's being the big saviour, the white knight that comes in on the horse and says, I will come back to Sheffield Wednesday and save them. After touting himself out to every single club. He tried Southampton, he's tried Leicester, he tried a couple of Premier League clubs apparently, he tried Bundesliga, every club in Bundesliga by the sound of it. He had a little nibble at Sheffield United, see if they'd be interested as well, by all accounts. And now, no, I really like Sheffield Wednesday. I'm going to go back to Sheffield Wednesday and see them right. So what's your thought, and what's going on, mate? Not just what's your thoughts on it, but what's going off with that? Massive U-turn when I heard that yesterday. Like, I don't think anyone really expected it. No. I feel I've kind of got the other opinion of Danny Rill the most. Most think he's a snake. Most think, he should really. That is a big turn, because everyone he could do no wrong. But ever since kind of January, when it would have revealed that Southampton were interested, people saying it's down tools and stuff. And I think it's easy to say that now when you look back, but even at the time, the other week went through some of the results, and some of them were quite close. Like, we didn't get hammered, ever since then. We were in most of the games, and just a few individual mistakes kind of cost us, which you can't really put that on the gaffer. But then, obviously, as soon as the season finishes, he goes off and does a podcast. And I mean, again, a lot of people saying, he's been touting himself and stuff. Like, all he's done is answered the questions that have been asked. Would you like to work in the Bundesliga? Yes, I would. Like, I mean, he was talking about us a little bit in the past tense and stuff, which doesn't look great. And I was talking to Alan Biggs yesterday, and he said, well, you just don't do the interviews. Like, do you know what I mean? The easiest way to not answer them questions is to not do it at all, which probably a bit naive on his part and stuff. And you're going to get asked those questions as well. Or just bat it off with your typical media answer that, look, that may be a question for one day, but I'm the manager of Sheffield Wednesday. Do you know what I mean? Exactly. Maybe he thought that people in England don't look at German media or something. Maybe so many players do that, then managers, don't they? So it's crazy. Maybe he thought that we'd never find out or something. But of course we have. They don't speak German. We'll be right. We'll be fine. Things get blown out of proportion as well a little bit. But for me, I don't think he's been right. I mean, I'm not privy to any conversations, but nothing happened in January at all. He signed a new deal the summer before. whether he were promised things and then he's not delivered on. I mean, I bet the fact that we've got a transfer embargo and not being paid, I think I don't think he was promised that, definitely. So I think he's obviously frustrated at all that. And last season I said that he was the right manager, wrong time, because we didn't have the quality of player to actually do what he's wanting. But you kind of fast forward to now, and it's just gone on for far too long. I thought nothing was really happening whilst they were on holiday and stuff. But that date where they were returning for pre-season, you just expected him to be there, and then you find out a few days before that he's not going to return, and then lo and behold, he doesn't come back, and then you've got no backroom staff, and you're thinking. I mean, we had under 21s manager and then one of the coaches taking first team training at St. George's Park, which still went ahead, by the way. Which I thought was crazy. We've got literally a skeleton squad. But yeah, he's done this U-turn, and I'm a little bit. Initially, I was like, well, "That's good news. It's coming back. We've got a manager. Let's just put it behind us and move on." But then when I think about it more and more, he was unhappy with the squad that he had before. He's going to have half the players this time around. He ain't going to be able to sign anyone any better. Why would you even come back? And then I'm just thinking, these reports that if he kind of leaves and walks away, he's got to pay some sort of compensation. I don't know whether he's just had to say he's going to come back for illegal reasons. To be honest, we've not heard that he's come back to training today. We don't know where he is. I think there's more twists in this tale, because Henrik Pedersen was announced as assistant manager on Tuesday that he signed a new contract. My thoughts were that, there's been rumours that he's going to be the gaffer, but obviously you can't appoint a new manager whilst you've still got a manager. So
is he the one that's been taking training then?
He is now, yeah. He's the one that's been doing training ever since Tuesday. So they've drafted him back in. Do you know what? It's absolutely crazy at the moment. I can't believe that these sorts of things are happening. It's mental.
I know. Do you share the opinion that he was that good a manager that he brought up a relegation fodder team? I'm not saying you were the worst player for player in the division, but I don't think you were a good championship side. I think you overperformed with the manager that you had last season. We're real in charge, real role. But do you fear, for even if there were no points deduction, do you fear that nobody else could get the same out of those players, and particularly now that it's going to be a significantly weakened squad as well? It's another year older for Baz as well in the middle.
Exactly. It's a difficult one, because when the season that we stayed up, so not last season, the season before, that final 6-7 games where we were, the form side, I think it was only Millwall that picked up more points in the last 6-7 games. Yeah. In that point, he did change his style of football and kind of went a bit more direct, a bit more pragmatic. Will Volks came to the fore, a player that before that wasn't really working in Danny Rail's style. And then last season, he didn't do that, and but the squad wasn't that much better. Yes, we had Shea Charles in there and a few others, but the squad wasn't miles better, and we just kind of. Everyone was asking, really, he needs to change it up a little bit and kind of go back to what we were doing the season before. But I just don't think that's what Danny Rail wants to do. So on one hand, yes, I think he did get a lot out of the players. I mean, Cisco Munoz was absolutely diabolical before, so it wasn't that difficult to for us to get excited. Yeah. But yeah, I think you're right. He did turn water into wine in some regards. He did get a tune out of some players that previously, nobody could. Baz and what Josh Windass come out and said he's one of the best coaches that he's seen. Very thorough, very in-depth in terms of his kind of management style. He knows what he wants, and I think Josh Windass has come out on a Scotland podcast and Open Goal, I think it's called. But he came out on there and said, it's like Friday before the game, it is PowerPoint presentations and stuff. This is where you need to go. I don't know if you've seen the Sky Sport Monday Night Football with Will Still. Yes. I imagine it's very similar to that. Really, this is what we need you to do. And then on Monday, they come in and look, why have you not, why aren't you where I said you were going to be, kind of thing. So very, very detailed. But again, I just think that it got them to a level but then he just couldn't quite get them to that next step. But I think that's more of a squad limitation than his limitation, I think.
Yeah, possibly. And you can see the frustrations that he'd have with that. And I think it wasn't necessarily the frustrations. It may have played a part, but from outside looking in, just from my perspective, it were more frustrations with the lack of a plan going forward, rather than it's all right.
I've never heard that word. Plan.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean, mate. There's no sort of I can stick with these players for now, but hopefully next season we can build on this and we can get better and better. And there's been nothing ever like that.
We get a 3 transfer window embargo.
This is what instead. So, and from what I understand, that's not just a free transfers and loans only. That's you can pay no more than something like $7,000 a week towards wages, and I don't know whether that's right or not.
So there's 2 things. So there's the transfer fee ban. So we've incurred that because we've defaulted on payments for more than 30 days. So there's 10, 20, and then 30 days. I think there's a slap on wrist. There's a big fine, and then 30 days is this 3 transfer fee ban. So we've. So
is that for the $50,000 that you couldn't pay?
No, this is for not paying the wages. This is
okay. Just checking.
Incurred that one, but then so that's a transfer fee ban which takes us up to January 2027, which is mental. And then the embargo that gets lifted once those have been settled. So once he pays the players, once he pays HMRC, once he pays the $50,000, then that gets lifted, and we can sign players. I think obviously the squad's 25. I think you can have a maximum of 22. I want to say players, and you're right. You can only offer $7,000 a week, and you can only offer a contract of 1 year. So I mean, $7,000 a week is still all right, isn't it? But you're not exactly going to be signing superstars.
You're shopping in League One, aren't you? Really?
To be fair, I've got to give Chansiri some credit because he's building a League One side 1 year before we're going to get there. So,
it's a little bit like some Premier League, newly promoted Premier League sides do, isn't it? Best at Championship because you're ready. Then Ipswich have done it.
I am joking, obviously, but it feels like that. To be fair,
but yeah, it's picking up frees that'll are struggling for an opportunity. Maybe you're in and around battling League One clubs for some of these free agents. Shame you missed out on David McGoldrick. Not that I'd have even looked at you.
We're not going to sign anyone until transfer deadline day. But to be honest, free agents can move after the window's closed. So if we're going to get anyone in, really, it's going to be after that point. I mean, and that's even if we've even paid the players, because why would you come to a club that you're not going to get paid in? Like that's.
Your loans are going to save you, aren't they? Like Shea Charles were a great loan for you last season, and if you can get a player of that quality, and I know there's loan fees attached to a lot of the better players now, so whether that scuppers you,
we can't pay a loan fee either. So we're stuck with probably just aging players out of the Prem or even Championship,
or young prospects that have no proven track record or anything that you guarantee in game time or something like that. So it's you're behind the 8 ball straight away, aren't you? So. David starts us off in comments tonight saying you have to feel for the staff there who'll probably suffer more than the players. Today we hear the fans are divided over Rohl's return and the players feel let down by him as he's tried to get a job.
That is the other thing as well. The noise coming out of St George's Park where they are is that the players don't want Danny Reel back. They've turned up. We aren't being paid. He's not here. So, they're doing their bit. And he's not fulfilling his. So the noise is that they don't actually want him back. So again, that is only rumours. He hasn't come out and said that. A player's not come out and said that either. But that is the rumours at the moment.
Interesting. But we're massive. How can this be real? Says Mr. Vancouver. You're going to get a few of these, I think, mate. I'm afraid. Come on, you ring up the blades, up all the rambles, up Matilda shakes. Peake says, putting rivalries aside, which is hard to do, I just hope we can all keep it civil and respectful. It didn't have to come on and there would be no show without up the blades, up the ramble, like and subscribe. James is a friend at channel, mate. It doesn't matter. We've talked about this before. Who you support is, it's just part and parcel of who you are as a person, really, but it doesn't make a difference.
We have banter back and forwards on the WhatsApp and what have you. Constantly. It's all friendly banter. That's what it's for, isn't it?
I was saying, I think if we can work, I'd like to work more with James if there's a meaningful thing that we can get done, because it's a fine line to walk in it, pal. That's the only thing. It's one of those that you don't want to alienate your own audiences by having the other side on, and you'll be the same with myself and stuff. So But I do think there's some sort of niche there for a little bit of a rivalry content. But we'll see. Lewis says, feel for the staff and for the players, actually, who seem to have shown some loyalty while Sausage Roll has tried to leg it up the Ramble, up the Blades. That's just what you've said, innit? That's what the players are sort of saying. Well, we're here. We're not being paid, and we've turned up to do our job and try and keep going and try and keep the club going. And
I mean, there's another side to that as well, in that, yes, they've turned up without being paid, but you can't, as much as you'd like to just think, no, I'm not getting paid, why should I bother? Like, contractually, you still have to turn up because they will get paid at some point. I know it's difficult, but also as well, if they're wanting to hand the notice in, which 6 of them have done, you can't just not turn up and then go.
Yeah, it's true.
As well. Like,
it's breach of contract, isn't it?
Exactly. So they're all getting a pat on the back, but like they kind of have to. Really.
Yeah. But what is he not breaching his contract then?
What, Danny Real for not coming? Probably.
It won't sack him though, will he? Because he'll lose the compensation if he goes.
Yeah, well, this is the thing as well. Like, we have no idea. There's also been rumours that he's been told not to come. So by Chansiri. So
which you can see happening as well, can't you? You can see that being the case.
Because and because nothing. I mean, I don't know what it's like for you, but nothing comes out of the club whatsoever. It is so hush hush. We don't even know about contract lengths whenever we sign a player. It comes out. You see other clubs. I think so and so's. Malik Wilkes has signed for a club in Turkey. I think it's called Pendik or something, and that's true, by the way.
Okay, yeah. Family channel, but if it's a real club, then fair dues.
Look it up. It is true.
I'm good with that. I'm sure he is too.
But it comes, on a 4-year deal. We have no idea, like what length of contract they sign on. So, it's. But nothing comes out of the club, so you have to rely on these other sources. And like I said at the top, someone lives next to someone, and we even had one rumor that someone genuinely said, barmaid at local boozer has told me that a deal's been done and with Salt Club.
Well, there you go. If barmaid's saying it, it's got to be true, hasn't it?
It's got to be true, surely.
Max says, even lads feel sorry for Wednesday staff. Jimmy report saying Cosy Mark 2 is close to Pompey. Yeah, I've seen that, pal. Don't worry about that. I'm not. We'll come on to that another time. Jared says, fair play to James. Give him a lot of stick in his comments when he did the double. We did the double. Took it well. Still a pig though. Absolutely right. Yeah, he'll take that. Welcome, James. Or do you prefer Freddie after your Bohemian Rhapsody? Yeah, we've heard about this. Do we get a little bit of a rendition of George?
No, I need. Well, we started boozing at 1, and this was about 11 o'clock at night. So
okay,
yeah,
Scaramouche. No, one of them.
You're not going to tempt me.
Okay, fair dues. I'll join in with you if you want, but I do that a lot anyway. So, Louis says,
to be fair, I heard you when the intro were playing. I heard you singing along. So
love it. Bit of Matilda Shakes, you can't beat it. And I'm confident now that there's no mic on when the intro comes on, because I've done that before where mic's been on and people can hear me singing in background, but it's off now, so I can sing away to Matilda Shakes before we come on. Good on you for coming on a United stream. To be fair, have to respect that. Hope the situation at S6 sorts itself out. But you're still rubbish. But that you're still rubbish after it. Up the Blades.
I'm going to throw a question to you, right? So obviously, when takeovers happen, like that's where clubs can have a massive shift. You saw Ipswich do it. Yep. They had a takeover, and all of a sudden they shoot up the leagues, get back into the Premier League. Is there not a slight worry from yourself? I mean, we nearly did it when Chansiri took over. We nearly got there. Is there not a slight bit you think? I hope they get another shit owner so they don't.
Absolutely, there is. Absolutely, there's a huge part of that we hope that for you. And to be honest, mate, we are going through a similar thing ourselves at the minute, because we've jumped out of what some people thought was slightly unambitious ownership, but a very steady ship in terms of, will push, but won't blow the budget and try and go bust for Premier League football. People wanted more than that, and now we've got new ownership, a new American consortium with very deep pockets, but that doesn't mean they're going to put those funds into United, does it? So we are at quite a nervy point while we, like you said about Wednesday, we don't get a lot of information out of the club at the minute, which is great in a lot of ways, because it protects the club and it stops other clubs having any idea as to how we're operating. But you see other targets that we know we were in for when Wilder was in the seat. I don't know if you've been keeping up with our stuff, but Jimmy Dunn was done It was a done deal to Sheffield United. We've got a right-back vacancy there. Femi Siriki's a very good prospect, but he was a done deal. We pulled the rug as soon as Wilder went. We didn't want to do that deal because Ruben Sayers might want somebody else there. We're moving to a more data-driven AI approach, which people are very nervous about. It's not going to be the whole shebang in terms of how we recruit, but loads of foreign names now being linked that we don't know, which makes fans nervous.
Just on that, when I heard that, all I've got visions of is going on ChatGPT and just writing, can you sign me a player? And then
give me a left winger from Czechoslovakia. And you're like, oh my word, what is this? So it's new ownership is a complete unknown. And I would like Chansiri to stay because we know he's terrible. So it's the chances of you getting a worse owner than Chansiri are through the floor, aren't they? So
slim to nil.
Yeah, exactly
people
right.
People were talking about grass ain't always greener. This was kind of beginning of this year. I mean, Price, it doesn't need so much greener than brown, does it? Like, to be any better. This is what I mean.
Anyway. Every Wednesday I should be doing cartwheels about the prospect of a takeover. So I know it's very early days in terms of the talks and stuff, and knowing your owner as you do, anything could come from left field at any time. Somebody might call him wrong name and he might pull out of negotiations because he feels disrespected.
We're at the point where Mike Ashley would be a good owner. That's how bad it actually is.
What about Steve Dale? Not Rochdale, Bury owner. Would you get him in at this stage?
Do you know what? If you can pick staff and you can pick players, you're one step better than what we've currently got. Do you know what as well? I mean, you probably saw it. Chansiri came out. There was a Florida consortium because he said he didn't want to sign an NDA. When he bought the club, he didn't sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement for those that don't know. So basically, it covers yourself and whoever's the other party as well. You're trying to buy the club. So that no information can be shared. Basically, he didn't sign one. This Florida consortium, there's a Wednesday fan part of this as well. 2 bids, both rejected. Anyway, Chansiri then comes out and just openly kind of shares everything, and also says that he didn't think that they had enough money to run the football club. And I thought, well, that's rich. Because literally the next day, he doesn't pay the players. So I thought, you literally couldn't write it that a man with no money is saying that someone else also doesn't have enough money, which is mad.
He appears to be the most stubborn man I've ever known in my life in terms of, he will not be told, nobody will dictate to him, sort of thing. And it's a recipe for disaster, in it, really.
Well, I know I can't swear in here, but I'll just say he's a very, very bad man.
We'll move on. Going to be a fun dressing room if reports of players not wanting him back and want the assistant to take charge. Yeah, that's an awkward position for Pedersen to be in, isn't it? If they're all sort of nudging him and saying, wish it were you, pal. Wish it were you.
There's also other things as well. Apparently, Pedersen took all of the the offensive, training, but everything off the ball was down to Danny Rohl and all the other stuff. But in terms of like the coaching and stuff and the attacking coaching was all Pedersen. So that's something that Josh Windass confirmed when he tells you everything. I can't wait for him to leave so I can actually get him on the podcast because that could be some right stories.
And how do you think? Do you think you're better out of possession then, or do you think you're a better attacking outfit than who serves you better, Pedersen or Real in that respect?
Well, if you look at last season, I think there were only 2 or 3 clubs that conceded more goals than us do. So if you base it on that one, then you've probably got to say in possession we're better. But I think there's also a lot of clutching at straws. It's not just one person. They'll work together. They're not going to work independently of each other. So we could see that. Pedersen comes in and actually does need Rohl at the side of him. So he's very difficult. But it's always one of those when someone does something wrong, you always pick up on the bad things of that one person, and you always look at the positives of kind of what's coming in. So you've got to let's just see basically.
Okay, mate. Max says Danny Rohl applying for the Blades job. He's done at Wednesday now. Surely. Well, I don't think that's been confirmed in loads of circles. I think it's quite widely known in certain areas, but not been officially confirmed. Sayers' interview was good, says Man Mountain. Very level-headed. Seems like Rohl is going to seriously struggle to get the dressing room back on side. Yeah, I agree. We've talked about that. Bryce says, let's keep it clean tonight, people. Remember, it's a family channel. My spanner is ready for the naughty stuff. Bry's one of our mods who keeps the chat in order. Thank you, Bry. Evening, Jimmy. Hope all is well. In holiday mode now, so looking forward to players coming in. Radio Sheffield interview Sayers today, spoke very well again. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, up behind the Ramble, like and subscribe. Just a bit of your thoughts then, mate, on United choosing to sack Wilder and go in a completely different direction. What do you think as an outsider looking in? You obviously know our club better than most outsiders, if you like. So do you laugh? Do you think good? Because that's guaranteed promotion push like out of the window, and now it's a much more of a variable outcome. Or what's your general thoughts on what you saw from a Wednesday night's perspective?
Had we not been in the situation that we were in, it would have been fantastic. You know, we had all the memes ready, we had all the clips from Wilder to put out there, but you know, people in glass houses don't throw stones within. So we had to kind of pare it back a little bit.
I know you don't like him, obviously, for obvious reasons.
Yeah. I used to hate Neil Warnock. I think he's fantastic now.
He's never been a Blade.
In comparison. And to be fair, actually, since Warnock's left, I do think he's good value and stuff. I think he got it. Like, he got the rivalry. And
Wilder gets it. Don't worry about that. It's just because he's so strong on the red side. That's why people don't. And obviously, dancing on the tables when we beat you. All this. So you'll have been ready with your ammunition for whenever the day it was that he lost his job. But more than like being able to chuck it at Wilder, did you feel it was a mistake by United when you look at it objectively?
Nah, I don't personally. I think you look where he's been as well. He's not really done anything anywhere else. He only seemed to work at Sheffield United. And had you have got promoted, I genuinely think if he'd have loved the club, you know, as much as what he says he does and everything, he should have really stepped aside and let someone else come in and actually, you know, try and get you to that next level and keep you up. Obviously, that would have never happened, and it is harsh. But I I think he's good when he's not got much resource. You know, I know this will be really, really controversial, but like at the moment, kind of, you probably would have needed a manager like Danny Rohl playing some different stuff. I'm not saying Danny Rohl himself, and we probably need a manager, obviously not Wilder, but that similar sort of manager that can, you know, do better with, you know, lesser skilled players. So I think, you know, that would have both been better off, to be fair, because like I said before, like he was the right manager for us, Danny Rohl, but just totally the wrong time. So I felt like, that Wilder got the best out of you previously. I think, you had a good squad last season. There's no two ways about it. I know kind of everyone were like, you know, your boys were saying, oh, we're going to finish mid-table and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, you weren't. When you look at the players that you were able to bring in, I know they didn't all, you know, fire on all cylinders, Cannon being one of them, but I think you still had, when you look at the squad on paper versus the other squads in the league, it was far better, and I thought he could have done a little bit better. I mean, it was a tough league last season, you know, right at the top anyway. Everyone else was kind of much of a muchness, but those 3-4 at the top were a cut above everyone else, weren't they, to be fair?
Oh, that's nice of you to say, mate. That's nice of you to say.
You've come out of the Prem, like, you can't beat around the bush. I think I said exactly the same when I came on for the preview, and you didn't quite like what I was saying. So I was saying there was no pressure on us. I mean, get ready for this time around. If there's no pressure last time around.
You are huge underdogs this time around, aren't you? No matter what Sheffield United team turns up. So yeah, interesting. Matt says it sounds like the players don't want him back. Hiya James, welcome mate, says Bry. Work your spanner magic to get that toilet roll James is wearing off the screen.
I'm surprised you've not done some sort of filter on it to kind of change the colours to something else.
Well, I thought about it. I thought, I didn't know how we were going to go tonight, whether we were going to be super serious or what we were going to be doing. So I didn't want to line up a load of I could have had some laughing tracks and stuff like that ready to go, but I thought, no, let's just be right. I thought I could smell something. It's pigs, says Jamie. Daz says, James, well, you'll be sitting once another part of the ground is shut down. At least you have the best PE teacher in Sheffield back to put out the cones. So, yeah, just a little one about the North Stand. Is it right what they're saying about your North Stand where it's not fit for purpose and can't sell any tickets there until it passes health and safety checks and stuff like that?
That is where I sit. That is where my season ticket is. So,
really? That's where George's missus is as well, isn't it? I think
so, saying. Yeah. So, as you're looking from the away, and it's on the stand on the left hand side. So It is. I've seen some of the pictures as well from a couple of years back, and it is it's bad. I mean, I'm not exactly a structural engineer, but I don't think you need to be a structural engineer to see that it's rusty.
See, because of all the other headline-grabbing things that are happening at your club, stuff like that goes unnoticed. If you can't fill that stand, that's catastrophic for your team. I'm not saying you'd fill Hillsborough at the minute.
The worst thing about it? If that stand is shut, you'll see the words Chansiri.
Yeah, of course you will. Yeah, on every game, Chansiri.
Because the cameras are on the south stand, looking out towards the north stand.
You've not been
worst thing about it.
So as a north stand season ticket holder, you've not been notified that it's not fit for purpose at all yet.
So I think it come out from Joe Cran of the Star saying that the club have agreed to get the work done. I think it might be the club itself. I can't remember now. Like the work will be done between now and the start of the season. And I look at that and I think, other than giving it a lick of pain, I don't know, what can they do between now and the start of the season? There's not long left. Like
they can't.
You've got to tender for the work. People have got to then get the work, and then they've got to do the work as well. So I don't know how all that's going to happen.
And are you doing that at the expense of paying Josh Windass, who can walk away for no? Or it's absolute chaos, isn't it? It's absolute.
Do you know what as well? Like this was, I think it was Rob Staten on Radio Sheffield that said it on Saturday, because there was the news that it was going to sell the club in a normal way, and then there was also the news that the work on the north stand was going to get done. And this is, it's Stockholm syndrome at Sheffield Wednesday, because people were getting excited about him selling the club normally, and excited about doing work that has to be done before the season starts. Like. It's
a huge step forward,
but he has to do these things. Like, I don't want to go all Roy Keane on you, but it's your job.
That's his job.
and we're giving him. People are giving him a pat on back and getting excited by it. Like, you shouldn't even get to this point. Like, we shouldn't be sat in a stand that that effectively could be unsafe. Like, obviously there's all the talk of kind of protests and things like that. And I hope, things are done and we are in that the process of a takeover before the start of the season, so we don't have to do any of those sorts of stuff. But I'm thinking of taking a hard hat. If that north stand's open, taking a hard hat and sitting on there, to be honest.
Just to be safe.
Just you can never be too sure.
You never know.
You? But it makes, and Joe, what? All jokes aside, as well, if there's ever a football ground that needs to be safe, like this is the one.
Absolutely.
Really, when you think about it, from a PR point of view, all it takes is someone else to get hold of this. The fact that if the stand does get shut down,
can you imagine?
It's just not what you need and not what you want, because it already has a bad reputation amongst certain fan bases. So it's just not what we want at all.
No, that's true, mate. That's true. Cowboy Paul Young says, I have good friends who are Owls fans. Why would I be happy that they are feeling miserable? Banter should be way better than you, because we beat them 4-0 and you only won 3-0. Yeah, I agree with that. Jimmy, stop laughing. I'm not laughing. Tax bill has got to be the main worry, James. Would you say so? Would you say that's your main concern? Not paying the tax bill?
Do you know what, as well? Again, you just hit the nail on the head, saying, like, in any normal season, the fact that the North Stand is going to be shut should be the biggest concern. The fact that the tax bill has not been paid should be the biggest concern. The fact that, I could go on and on and on. Yeah.
The manager hasn't been in for pre-season for 2 weeks.
All these things should be massive.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Now something happens and I just go like, oh yeah, it's just another day at Sheffield Wednesday. Like you're just waiting for another bit of bad news to come. And the Mick McCarthy meme, that has been used far too many times. It can't get any worse.
Can't get any worse. Can it, Mick? It can.
It's been used so many times. It's literally just every single day. Mad.
Just a final bit of clarity on this, I think. On a serious note, James, Rivalry's aside, has there been any update for the staff that rely on a weekly or monthly wage? These are the ones I feel for.
So I know of a few people that haven't been paid. So I can't say for everyone, but the news is that nobody has been paid. So last time,
is that the Sands of 700 quid? They're getting the standard 700 quid, so they can't walk out. Is that right? Or?
I believe so. But last time there was like some emergency funding that was used, and I feel like most, if not all, kind of took up that offer. Yeah. They got an email this time around, I think on the day before they were supposed to get paid, to say that they won't get paid, and basically there's not enough money to go around either. This emergency funding won't stretch to everyone, and that he's trying his best to get the money, but quite frankly, he's not trying hard enough. Although he is getting rid of players, so having a bit of a fire sale. I feel like it's Sports Direct. Everything must go. Closing down sale.
So talk to me about the outs then. Gassama's on his way, it looks like, to Rangers. Mumbamba is... I don't know his... Masaba, sorry.
Yeah.
He's on his way to Turkey, somebody was saying last night in our chat, for about 800 grand. So that's
right.
That's just over 3 million quid. Which you won't get up front, obviously, because that's not how transfers work nowadays, but things will start to move. It's more wages off the bill.
He'll be wanting that money up front, because that is the other thing as well.
That might be why it's so low, maybe.
Exactly, yeah. We sold Caelan Cole Cadamartri, a 15-year-old, so we've got Bailey Cadamartri. Caelan's his younger brother, who's only 15. He's gone to Man City for $1.5 million. Now, you're thinking like $1.5 million for a 15-year-old. Obviously, he's lighting it up. He's scoring, scoring for fun in the under 21s as well. But then
at 15,
normally in these situations, it'll be a nominal fee, but there'll be a massive, sell-on clause. There'll be all these clauses attached to it. If he makes an appearance in the Premier League, you'll get X amount of money and all that sort of stuff. But obviously,
250 grand the minute he steps on Premier League pitch, 250 grand when he scores his first Premier League goal. All them sort of lifts all the way through, and then a sell on at end.
Probably even more than that, to be fair. If you're a Premier League goal scorer, you're going to be quids in. So, but he wants all the money up front, hence why we've only got $1.5 million. And all these players that we're selling, what is the incentive for him to put a sell-on clause on there? Like, there is none, because he's not going to get the money. He will have long gone by that point. So all the money will be up front. I mean, Jeddy Gassama, you look and he's not $2.5 million. Like, he's got bags of potential. Not really fully seen it, but he's at least five. Like, at least £5 million. You'd have thought. Probably even more to certain people, depending on where he goes. And if you look at some of the other players that have left, I forget his name now, the lad who went from Millwall to Crystal Palace.
Eze, weren't it? Something like that.
His numbers weren't much better. I think Gassama's were better than his, to be honest. So he was a bit younger though. But then and then Masaba is another one. Both tricky wingers. He's 800 grand. He's going to be going. The worrying thing for me, had this been last summer, you'd be saying, right, yes, moving players on, you've sold them for X amount of £1 million. Let's reinvest that money and let's bring some other youngsters through. $2.5 million. Let's buy 5 players for 500 grand each. 2 of them might not be good enough. You might get 2 that are all right, and you might get one that's an absolute superstar that you might be able to sell for 15, 20 million or something like that. And then you keep doing it over and over again. I mean, that's just a very shrewd example. But the problem is we're selling these players to literally pay British Gas.
Or he's paid him and then he's taking the money back for himself into that sort of thing.
Possibly.
You think,
he might be thinking, I'm not getting enough money for the club.
Yeah,
shove it. I'm going to take this money and have it for myself.
That's right. I put this money into the club. I'm taking it back out again when I can get it. So
exactly that, and that is the worry, and that is the annoying thing about it. When we sold Caelan Cole Cadamartri, there's certain fans saying, "Oh, you moan when we don't sell players, and you moan when we sell them." It's like
it's asset stripping. It's asset stripping, isn't it? That's what it is. And you're getting robbed for some of your better players, and Piers Charles, I won't mind having a little look at him for United. He's another one could be our keeper for the next 5 years. And you think...
But you know what it is that honestly, I don't begrudge anyone for wanting to leave Sheffield Wednesday. Like, I know people say about loyalty. I mean, there's no loyalty in football. And I said that when we've got,
There's on it fans, isn't there? There's on it fans.
That's but we have got Barry Bannon, we've got Liam Palmer, and I know there's be some people that said, there's a few players.
There's rare examples, isn't there? Rare examples.
On as a whole, there isn't any loyalty in football, and I would begrudge anyone for wanting to leave. The way that we've been treated, you don't go into any line of work, not being paid, and it must be terrible as well. You're looking at how much, the points deduction that we're probably going to be getting, and it's not going to be great. It's going to be toxic in the fan base as well, which I'm sure will happen. Everyone said let's get behind the lads and let's it's not their fault, which is true, but 5, 6, 7 games in, when you're getting pasted every week, like it's going to wear thin soon.
Yeah, it is.
It's going to turn not turn up. It's going to be hardly anyone in Hillsborough. Obviously, if a takeover happens, it'll all kind of kick back up again. But it's going to be very difficult. And
well, Bry's asking about a takeover. If Chansiri Tunaman goes, if Chansiri goes, the punishments remain, don't they? But you were saying one gets lifted. Is it the transfer fee ban?
No. So if the embargo, if the players get paid and all those things get satisfied, the embargo is lifted. So the EFL don't have to get involved in kind of the signings, and you can sign, you can pay wages over $7,000. That transfer fee ban is fixed. So, however, if there is a takeover, then we can obviously appeal to the EFL, and that can be amended. So, I mean, obviously, nothing's going to happen before this window shuts. So that's one out of the way. It's unlikely that they would say you can buy anyone in January, really. But even then, I think we'll be pretty much relegated by that point. To be honest,
really.
Well, yeah, like we're going to be so. If we get a points deduction,
do you not think it galvanises you as a side, or it should?
It could do, but there's only so much you can do with limited resources, isn't there? Like, the squad ultimately wasn't good enough last season. Especially when you look at this season, you've got Birmingham coming up, you've got Wrexham coming up, you've also got Charlton, who have had new owners as well. It's a much, dare say, a stronger championship league than it was last season.
That's fair.
With some of the teams that are in it, certainly at the bottom anyway. You look at, I can't see Birmingham, I can't see Wrexham struggling. Wrexham maybe, but I'd like to think they've got enough to
Charlton might get pulled in, but you're talking then about Preston and yourselves and teams like that.
That are going to, or at least 2 championship clubs that are going to go down. You've got to get be better than. So that is the problem. And if you're so far cut adrift, and there's all things behind the scenes that are going on, I do agree with you. There's that kind of it does galvanise you as a fan base, and you lose, but you'll still be chanting and singing and stuff because it's kind of expected. But I don't know, like have we got that kind of belief behind the scenes? Have we got that thing that's pulling everyone together? I'm not too sure. We haven't even got any pre-season friendlies, which is another thing we spoke about. No pre-season friendly. We've got one against Mansfield behind closed doors.
I thought you had a Rangers game behind closed doors as well, Jordan.
Yeah, we have got one of them as well. That's I mean, who's going to be?
But again, behind closed doors, it's not really something to get your teeth into or anything, really, as a club, I suppose.
Well, we didn't even announce the Mansfield one. Mansfield have announced it, and it's away for them. So I don't know where we're playing it. It could be at Hillsborough Park or something. For all we know, I've no idea. So
would you say you're a bit apathetic as a fan base now? You're just sort of resigned to what is going to be probably a really, really tough season, and just roll with the punches sort of thing, and it can't get any worse?
I think apathy set in a long, long time ago, to be fair.
Really?
Yeah, when we realised that Chansiri is not going to go, he says things like, if fans want me to leave, I'll leave. Well, we wanted him to leave, and he didn't leave.
He dug his heels in on it.
Yeah, and he just made things very, very difficult. And then there's a lot of fans, there were protests, and a lot of people saying, well, it's not going to make him leave, though, is it? And ultimately, you think, well, no, it's not. But like, you can't just not do anything. You can't just sit there and think, oh well, that is what it is. But it's difficult to get such a massive fan base to got that word in there. To get so many people to get behind something, and especially when you look on social media, and as much as you think that's everyone, it's not. There's still a hell of a lot of people that don't see that sort of thing, or they get their news from other means and stuff. So to get everyone behind the same message is very difficult, and everyone's got different agendas and stuff like that. So yeah, I didn't think apathy did set in, and a few lads tried it with the protests, and they got spat at and stuff, which I think is absolutely ridiculous when they're just fans of the football club. And now you see what's happening now, and you're thinking, I hate being that I told you so person, but there is an element of that now, and some people are looking a little bit silly. But yeah, apathy has set in, and I think it will do this season if until the takeover happens, there's absolutely nothing to get excited about. People will just be going to the club, just going to Hillsborough just for force of habit, probably more than anything else.
And a lot of it'll be, I'll believe it when I see it, won't it? In terms of the takeover, because there's been so many false dawns and not even got out at starting blocks with a lot of them. So
there was one yesterday. It was just a Facebook post, and I've been sent that so many times, even by my dad. Any truth in this? I think no, absolute rubbish. Like.
We've all got them, haven't we? What, any truth on this, pal? What do you think? What do you think of this? I don't know, mate. Don't know.
Clubs just announced it on Facebook. Yeah, of course they have.
Evening, Jimmy. What are you doing? Boo! We're getting a view from the other side, pal, and I think a lot of people are interested in that. Good luck on this stag, James. Enjoy the Corona and ice cream.
Well, there's a stag do on Saturday that I'm on. I don't know who Darren is, but and then Corona and ice cream. That was last Friday. That's what probably took me over the edge to make me sing Bohemian Rhapsody. To be fair,
fair dues, mate. I know what to get you next time. See you. Josh's dad will be behind his stunts, says James. Yeah, Dino. He's a blade, really, is Dino. News going around, the players don't want sausage roll back, says Chris. Didn't Josh post a picture of himself with an exit sign behind?
Yeah, he did. That was first day back in training. Just sat there on his Instagram story. So yeah, honestly, like you look at it, and you think, well, he looks a bit miserable.
I'm going to follow him. I'm going to follow him while we're talking.
He was sat in front of the exit sign, and then you're like thinking, no, surely not. But yeah, maybe there's some truth in that. He's probably put something on today as well. Like
I'm already following him. To be fair, I didn't realise, Brian. So yeah, I'll be having a look at that later. Everyone of us has friends, family, etc. Have connections with the dark side. Absolutely right, Brian. Michael says, I don't feel sorry for them lot, but their owner is a disgrace. Plus, not sure what the manager is up to. Looks like he's going back because no one else will employ him. Yeah, I think there might be something to that. Sheffield clubs never do it easy, says Matthew. James says, do you think it's time Leppings Lane should be knocked down and rebuilt? Terrible for away fans.
Yeah, I do. It should have been knocked down a long time ago, to be honest. I think more for the stigma that is attached to it. And I mean, I've not been in that away end. We don't sell tickets to home fans in there unless it's a big game, of course. But I sit on the north stand, so. But yeah, I think it should be knocked down a long time ago. New owners come in, the first thing you need to do, if like long-term owners, is look at redeveloping that away end. But I don't really know what they can. I don't really know what they can do. The most annoying thing. You see these new grounds now, and they've got, depending on who it is that's playing. Like Derby is a prime example. You get in the corner, but if they give you a bigger allocation, just kind of move you along, and they can adapt that way. Whereas we just have to, no matter whether it's you boys there or whether it's MK Dons, you just get the whole stand. All right, they might not give them as many tickets, but we can't utilize.
You can't benefit from that.
It's just that's it. You just get the whole stand, and it just don't look great, especially when they're up in the top as well. And whenever, I mean, this is only a niche thing, but whenever you see the highlights of the game, if you score in front of the away end, it looks like nobody's there. Because there's no people in the bottom. So I don't know why they don't just give the away fans the bottom bit, to be fair.
It'd be better atmosphere for away team, I would have thought.
We don't care about away team though, do we? Let's be honest. You put us in bottom when we played your. So
that's so we can be above you. But that is a moot point anyway, because where are you getting the money from to rebuild Leppings Lane? Because you can't do anything at the minute, can you? That is so far down the list of priorities, I think, unfortunately. As ever, Peeps, says Bri. Like, subscribe, and share the channel to help us grow. We are the best Blades channel on the web. Thank you, mate. It costs nothing to subscribe, and you get to join the Ramble family. Thank you. Much appreciated, pal. Max says, interested to hear James' thoughts on Chris's interview after we beat them at their place. Would he want a manager like that? That'll be the 10-minute monologue that you went into some detail on, if I remember rightly.
Well, one of those, I was listening to it in the car on the way home, and I'm like thinking, what a, I'll not say it.
Yeah. But that wasn't that part of the reason he did it, do you think? To sort of needle you lot.
Actually, what I did think was, why is he bringing up kind of like Chris Waddle and stuff like that? I just thought it was just a bit. What I thought was he's just so salty bringing up things from the past. Like, let's just move. That's what you give us stick for living in the past. Let's just leave that behind. Like, it was an element of, you've beat us, just enjoy the moment. But
that is enjoying the moment, isn't it? Having a little pop back in his eyes.
No, I think sometimes I think you've got to be the bigger man in some instances. And I just felt it was. Yeah,
have you though?
When you're at that level,
what level are we at? What level are we at?
No, what I mean is what level in terms of you're the manager of a football club.
Right, okay.
Like when yes, I know everyone says it, but he's still a fan. But there's all the 5,000 United fans that can do all that for you. Do you know what I mean? There's not. You don't have to do it. It will just happen anyway.
But you're telling me if Nigel Pearson had done that for you boys, you wouldn't be absolutely loving it, or whoever it was, whatever David Hurst were in charge here or whatever.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because it's easy for me to sit here now and say,
no, we'd want him to be respectful of the opposition.
I wouldn't like that. But then when it does happen, it is
you'd be loving it, wouldn't you? You'd be loving it.
I probably would, but it would be still. It's like when we beat Coventry in last minute of the game at their place. Full-time whistle went literally straight, pretty much after we'd scored. Danny Rill legged it straight over to the away fans. Didn't shake. I think it was Mark Robbins at the time. Didn't shake his hand, and the Coventry fans weren't very happy. Mark Robbins weren't very happy about that. And at that point, we're just like, who gives a monkeys about that? Whereas I suppose from the outside looking in, you think, well, actually, that were a bit of a, he should have shook his hand. So
there were plenty of Blades that didn't like it as well, to be fair. But I just think it's an emotional game, and you take that with Wilder because you take it because
it was like he couldn't
part
wait.
Of his package.
It's like he had that planned, and he just could not wait to get it all out. When he could have just left it and been a bit, I'll say it, classy.
I don't think you need to be honest. I think you can be allowed to enjoy them sort of moments. Let's have a look. Lewis says, lads, well done to you both for doing this. Agree with Jimmy, it's a fine line, but you're delivering it really. Thank you. Get that ridiculous owner out and bring a non-progressive one in. Up the Ramble, like and subscribe.
Just on that as well, honestly, I don't think the next owners are going to be the one. Like the one to get us. Saudis aren't going to come in and just suddenly take us up into.
That's what everybody wants in it.
Into the
Saudi
land.
money.
For me,
Turkey halal sheikh.
Yeah. That was one room, and that feels like.
I know. Simon Jordan. I bet that set airs racing, didn't it, amongst the fan base? Ooh.
Well, first thing is, I'm like, who's he? Like, typing it in, and then now I keep getting all boxing stuff coming up on my feed. But no, with in terms of new owners, just one who's got a plan, but also they've got to have like an exit strategy as well, which I think, they might only be here for 5 years or so. I mean, Chansiri's been here for 10. But if it's not going right, or it's started to go a little bit wrong, or they start to run out a bit of money or whatever, as long as they don't do what Chansiri's done and just absolutely ruin the football club, as long as they can just go, yeah, it's up for sale, someone else comes in and takes over, and then just call it a day.
Yeah,
I'd be more than happy with that, and then just let someone else have a. They
go. Can't lose, can they? Whoever's coming in now can't really lose in terms of they'll be lauded for just not being Chansiri. And fair dues. Chris says, do you think after 10 games, a club sack the manager and they'll come in for sausage roll, he'll go running? So this is something that I was going to lean into more, that it's all right him coming back, and I think you sort of alluded to your feelings that it's not all sunshine and roses about him coming back, even though I think most recognise, even Blades recognise, that the majority, I would never speak for the full fan base, but I think a lot of us think he's a good manager. There'll always be that question of loyalty hanging over him now, won't there? And he can't wait to get away really until right offer comes in. So I think it's probably, like you said, when you initially hear the news, you think, oh well, that might be them all right. That might be them sort of starting to build again under him. But he'll always now have that dark cloud over him that, well, he couldn't wait to get away as soon as it went wrong last time. So if he gets a sniff of a Middlesbrough job or whatever it might be, or a Coventry, if Frank doesn't start well, is he gonna up sticks and leave as soon as he gets a chance?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think he's coming back, but for the sake of this argument, let's say he is, and he is the manager next season. There is that worry, but you've still got the same problem with that compensation tag that's hanging over him, that was the issue all along. Reportedly 5 million. Apparently, then it was less if it was a championship club, which everyone thought, oh, Southampton are just waiting until they are officially a championship club, and they were going to come in and take him off. That was Will Still that's gone there. Then it was Leicester. They were just waiting for Ruud van Nistelrooy to get sacked, and obviously that's not really happened either. So, well, yeah, there is that worry that if he does come back and he's the manager, that he might just up sticks and go. But I think again, if Chansiri is still the chairman, he'll want good money for him. And just on that as well, I said at the back end of last season, clearly the relationship between the two had broken down. Like there was a lot of digs both sides, in press conferences and,
there was.
and stuff. And
talk about professionalism right there, don't you?
Yeah, and it clearly wasn't working, and there was an element of people thinking he's trying to get himself sacked with some of the comments that he's making and stuff. Obviously, that never happened. But at the end of the season, I just said, you know what? Yes, they're waiting for this money, and as it stands at the moment, £5 million would have been. We wouldn't gone very far, but it certainly might have stopped, players not and staff not getting paid and stuff like that. But I said, just cut your ties with him. Like, you don't get any compensation for a manager that doesn't want to be here, because whoever it is that wants him, we're just going to wait until they get the sack, because that will happen at some point. I mean, the only problem is Chansiri is not a normal owner of a football club. So I just said you need to mutually terminate and move on. Obviously, things have got even worse since the last game of the season, and it's catastrophic at the moment. But at the time, I just said just move on, just call it a day. But the thing is, Chansiri can't admit defeat. He can't kind of just say, well, I got that one wrong, because he's the common denominator. Like, he fell out with Darren Moore. That's why that whole situation happened as well. So sometimes you just got to admit that you're the wrong one and move on, really.
Yeah, I'm going to read this, Mr. V, because the who you are for the channel, but it's I don't think he'll answer. James, can you publicly announce here on the Ramble that there's only one legitimate football club in Sheffield, and that's United, just for argument's sake? I'll probably just spin past that, Mr. V, to be honest. I don't think there's any point in even proposing that. S8 Blade says, everyone lives within their means, so even though the tea lady isn't getting paid, it's still shocking that the playing staff aren't getting a wage. Completely agree with that. I feel sorry for everyone associated with the Wednesday. Yeah, I agree. I think, people assume that costs they're on $5,000 a week, some of them maybe even a little bit more, that they'll be fine. Well, they might have a mortgage that's within that means, and sort of, they might have a car that they've leased because they know they're guaranteed that wage, because they should be guaranteed that wage. It's really unacceptable in all ways round.
The careers aren't that long, are they?
No, they're not. That's true, mate. Very true.
Yes, they are very well paid, but they get to 30 and they're on borrowed time. So, they've got to. The thing is, they will get paid at some point, I'm sure. Like, they're not just. It's not going to be like, well, you haven't got paid, that's it, you're never going to get that money ever again. But still, it must be worrying. Like, I mean, the worst one is the staff, though, for me, because they're the people that, if I didn't get paid this month and then and then next month, that I'm struggling. I mean, the staff did get paid, so they are only owed. We're what now, 2 weeks in, but you never know what kind of fines or whatever they might have got for last month and stuff like that. You don't know, and it's not only that; it's mentally as well. If you're you might be lucky that you've got a partner that can might be able to
mortgage
by,
and stuff like that.
What about if you buy yourself? And I just hope that all these people did actually get the support that they needed, and they didn't go without, because it'd be horrible. I mean, people have left and stuff and found other jobs. So that's the first thing you'd be doing.
Well, you would, of course, you'd be doing that, wouldn't you? Well,
but this is the other thing, though. Like, working for Sheffield Wednesday or any football club, if you're a fan of that club, whatever job role it is that you're doing, that might be like the pinnacle of your, something that you can rub shoulders with, the players that you idolize,
absolutely,
on a daily basis, chatting to the players as they come in, getting to know them on first name terms.
Incredible, isn't it, for some people? Absolutely incredible.
There's going to be some people now that have actually looked for another job, and then someone else will come in to do that job, and they'll get paid eventually, and then they'll be all right. But then you're not doing that job anymore. Maybe a job that you've been doing for 15 or 20 years or something, that's the best job of your life. But now you're not going to be doing it because you had to get another job because you needed the money.
Yeah. No, mate, you're right to raise it. Bryce says, Jimmy, just seen your dad at Hull FC with Cammy watching the rugby. Yeah, Dunsborough. I did get invited to that one, Bry. I didn't get invited to Oasis VIP, but I got invited to Hull FC. There you go. That's the basis of my offers. Winkerbank Blade says, about time Sheffield progressed in football. Oh, we both do okay moving forward, but obviously us the better team of the Blades.
Do you know what, on that as well? That's what I've always said, that I'd want both sides in the Premier League, but yeah, us being the better one. If we finish first, you can finish second. But as long as we finish above you, don't really care. But I do want, it needs to be a Premier League fixture, and the Steel City derby. So
absolutely
big,
right. Everybody talks about it Leeds belong in Premier League and all this, and yeah, they're a big club there, but they're a one city club, one club city. Sorry. So if both of us were in the Premier League, it'd be it'd be Everton, Liverpool, it'd be them sort of size fixtures, wouldn't it? Newcastle, Sunderland's going to be the same now. So
yeah, but the Newcastle Sunderland's different though, isn't it? Because that's not a
true.
True. They're not as close. I'm sure there's going to be families that have both, but you don't. We are that close. Like I said earlier, like you have got friends, family that are from the other side. I mean, some cases it's like in Jordan's case, it's literally
he's in the middle of Wednesday country, isn't he?
This is Wednesday, so you can't get any closer than that, can you? Really?
No, he's surrounded by enemies, that lad. Feel for him. James, how many points do you think you'll be behind us this season? More than 30?
Well, first target is to get to 0, I guess, to be honest.
So have you got are there any murmurings in terms of the points deduction itself? No idea. You'd just be guessing in terms of what number you're looking at.
What did Luton get? -30 when they how many
Bournemouth got something like -27, didn't they? Something like that. It were.
The thing is, I mean, you got what, -2 for breaching the not paying a club, and we've done that twice, and apparently there's more as well. So if you're looking at that's going to be 4 points at least.
But we took that as a. We sort of proposed that as a counter to the transfer embargo ban, which you've been given. So you might not get a points deduction for that.
Might not, but we've also got the transfer fee ban. But it's a different point. Like the transfer fee ban is because we've gone 30 days on defaulting on payments, which is you can get that for HMRC and or wages. Now, I mean, we've done 60. We're now on the 10th of July, so we're on 70 odd days. Plus they add on to that HMRC as well. That's going to be another 10 days as well. We're into nearly 90 odd days of defaulting payments. So it has to go to a disciplinary commission. So I honestly have no idea. It could be absolutely anything, but it would not surprise me if they chuck the book at us, really, and
make an example.
I kind of hope. Well, I don't hope they do, but the season's gonna be that bad anyway. It just gives you an excuse straight away.
I don't think they will. I don't think they will. I think Chansiri is seen as the enemy by the majority of people rather than the club itself, and I think he came in before the stringent changes to the fit and proper test came in, so they will. I don't think they'll chuck the book at him. I might be wrong, and I hope I am wrong, to be fair, because I'd love to see you get a hefty points deduction. It's people being paid that I'm worried about, but we'll see, mate. We'll see. Simon Jordan this morning, says Danny, was asking the old Palace owner if he was in for the pigs. Yeah, John Texter. He avoided the question. It sounded like, to me, I just surmised from that he may well be in discussions about it. We don't know how.
I thought that he could have easily said no. He didn't. He just avoided it. Which, if there's NDAs in place, he can't exactly come out and say yes, it's him. I think Simon Jordan's facial expressions told quite a big story. I know they are good friends and stuff. He was
because it wasn't Simon Jordan. I don't think. What it was Jim White that asked him about it. And Simon Jordan sat out because he knows a little bit about what's going on, I think. So
yeah, I mean, look, we could be at it, 2 and 2 and getting 6, but it did. There might be something in it. I've no idea.
Well, I would say, would you want Texter, because obviously he's technically on down, and Palace has been a bit of a mess. But compared to what you've got, mate, you'd take anything, wouldn't you?
Well, that's it. And you know what? I listened to that. It was on for about an hour, and he did a lot of talking about the Leon stuff and the Palace stuff, and
yeah.
And yeah, I've heard, I'm not going to come out.
The Eagles FC Limited or whatever it was.
Yeah, something like that. Eagle Holdings, I think.
Eagle Holdings, yeah.
So and he's got Botafogo, and he's got I think he's got a Belgian second division side.
You could beat Sheffield Eagles, couldn't you? FC.
Hey, we could be playing there if we.
You might.
That stand could have a bigger capacity than Hillsborough if we're not careful. But no, like I listened to him, and I think they got something like 1.2 billion pounds worth of debt, and on the face of it, you think, Christ Almighty, like, how do you? But he just took the questions, and I think they wanted more of a shocking answer, but he just kind of went, yeah, it's probably about right. But he said, there's big clubs and there's big assets. I think they've got an £800 million stadium as well. So he's like thinking, well, yeah, that's 400 million. Then there's these players and stuff. It wasn't that. I think what he was trying to get at is the assets far outweigh the debt, so it's not really an issue. But yeah, I mean, the Crystal Palace fans don't really like him. Obviously, they don't really like him anymore now because the fact that
it's more circumstantial, though, isn't it? I think rather than anything.
Well, it's like us not liking Danny Rohl anymore. The fact that he's probably one of the best managers that we've had in a long, long time. People seem to forget that once things kind of go a bit sour, and all the good is just forgotten about. Like it could be a point there that just because they might not be able to get into Europe, and let's be right about it, who would have predicted Palace, winning the FA Cup, because they didn't get there on
not him by the sound of it.
Well, yeah, exactly. They didn't get there on league position, did they? So
no, they didn't.
And even in the final, I don't think many people would have had them beating City. But
it made me laugh when he's on about that. We beat Man City, which was terrible. Well, what it winning FA Cup for the first time in God knows how long. It's just madness, absolute madness. Mark Meldrew says, in the words of Despon Chansiri, Sheffield Wednesday's not even that big. What did you think when he said that?
I mean, what is he coming out? He said some right stuff, though. To be fair, like he has said some stuff. Like, I mean, I was there at the fans forum in January. I was there the one before. Started at 7. We're still there at 11:30.
I remember. I was watching your tweets. I was enjoying them, mate. I was enjoying them come through because you were giving us a tweet along, weren't you?
The best one was where Rob Staten tweeted saying, "I understand that Shea Charles has gone back to Southampton."
Yeah,
no, he wasn't. It was he's stayed and he's not going back to Southampton. And then Chansiri just come out and went. He got a text message. I was going to go and take this call. Walked out. 20 minutes later, come back in. Shea Charles is going back to Southampton. It was like, oh my! Literally, you could not write the script. It could not get any worse. Like, and then at that point, it finished. And I remember just getting back into my car and driving home and thinking, what
what's just happened?
Witnessed there?
What has just happened?
It was just an absolute car crash. But the thing is, again, it's like Stockholm syndrome. Like we're just used to it. We're just used to being treated this way. I mean, I saw a tweet going out today. We've got the most expensive season tickets in the EFL. The cheapest adult season ticket. We have the most expensive one. I just put the comment. You'll never sing that. And he came out with a comment. I think it was 2017, 2018. If you want to, I think it was a survey that he put out, and it was like, pay big money, then you'll get better players. And now we're paying the most expensive season tickets, and we're going to be seeing academy basically this season if we're not too careful.
Is it he's getting sympathy from Blades fans annoying James?
I said it. I mean, I've said it many times. Like, that is the worst thing about it. Like, you shouldn't be getting any sort of sympathy from your rivals.
It just shows how far you've fallen, doesn't it? At that point in time,
like that is almost. It's almost worse. I'd rather not have the sympathy. I mean, I'm grateful for it, of course, but it shows that people are actually human at the end of the day. But we should be, you should be battling for league position. Like, it shouldn't be. And if you go back, actually, other than that 4-2 that you always reference, that's probably the last time where. But even then, I suppose we were on paper the better side. There's not been a time where, for a long, long time, where we've both been on a similar footing. I suppose you've got to go back to 2012, I guess, when we just picture to, which was very satisfying. Yeah, that's the last time where we were kind of battling, really.
Last time you had a laugh over us, really, weren't it? I suppose 13 years ago.
Well, when we got to the playoffs, and you were League One at that point, 2015, 2016. Were you in League One at that point? Yeah,
I think so. That's when Wilder always points out that if you would have beaten Hull that day, you would have gone on and become the force in Sheffield.
Yeah, there's so many sliding doors moments when you look back. I'm sure you've got, we have many the same.
Absolutely.
So that I mean, you could go back to Di Canio pushing ref over. That is a massive sliding doors.
We could go back to as recently as Kiefer Moore not giving ball away at Wembley.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, that's some content for a couple of years' time, that, isn't it, Jim?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, when things have calmed down your end, I'm sure. As ever, peeps, like, subscribe, and share. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate the support, mate. Chris says we've not got many comments left. We'll just get to the end of these and then we'll wrap up. But Chris says, controversial question. In order for Sheffield football to be a force in the game, would anybody take a merger? 70,000 if the club was doing well, but would dwarf a lot of clubs in the country up the Ramble. I'll let you take this, mate.
I was just about to say I'm not answering that question, but let's answer it in the interest. I mean, my honest answer would be absolutely not. Like that.
Yeah,
I don't even want to entertain that whatsoever. But yeah, I think if there wasn't Sheffield Wednesday and Sheffield United, and they never
if it had started as a Sheffield City, like the football club, if we were a one club city, then we would be huge. Absolutely huge, and there's no doubt in my mind that we'd be a Premier League side, and that we would be a real powerhouse in the country. But we have two separate lines of history that are over 100 years long.
Playing for starters, what?
You are.
What colour would they play in for starters?
Well, we'd look like Crystal Palace, wouldn't we? It'd be red and blue.
Probably, or it'd be like I don't know, West Ham, another maroon team or something like that. Or
God,
I've no idea.
No, it's a huge no from I'm sure the majority of both sides.
He should be banned for even asking that question. To be fair,
some people rate it.
Where's moderator when you need it?
Yeah, I know, Bri, you've gone to sleep there,
pal. Slip through net, that one.
He's there, look. He's here. He's mod, just commenting on it. Never in a million years, Chris. Go. Yeah. Neil says, Jimmy, as for the stick, for as much stick as the Prince got with the lack of funds, he's more like Elon Musk compared to Chansiri, who's more like Arthur Daly. I feel for the club, staff and fans. Yeah, I think you're not the only one, pal. Do you think the Pigs can stay up next season, says Jamie?
No. I really
You don't give yourselves an outside chance?
I mean, there's a glimmer of hope. But like I said to you before, I think it's going to be at least two Championship clubs. When I say that, I mean like Championship clubs. It's not going to be Birmingham or Wrexham, basically, who are going to go down. So you've got to, I just don't, we haven't signed anyone. We literally haven't signed one player. No
pre-season friendlies. There's no preparation gone on at all, has there?
We thought that when we came up out of the League One and we sacked Darren Moore, we thought that was kind of bad preparation. I'd have loved to have any sort of pre-season like that. They came back for 2 days and then they've had a week where they were training at home. Like that the Middlewood Road wasn't ready. We had I think we had Palmer, Windass, Patterson and Jamal Lowe training down at Woodburn Road by themselves. This is like what's all that about? Like how are you gonna? We signed Ikugbo last season and he didn't have a pre-season, and that's why he weren't firing.
Is that why he weren't firing?
Well, I don't know, but that was an excuse that was used. Like, what about all squad not having a pre-season? What about that one then? Like, you've got no manager, so you don't even know how what are they training? Are they just doing fitness? Are they just doing running? Get Megson back in, get him in Grenna Woods, like running up and down in there. But you've got like academy managers taking training one day, and then you've got Henrik Pedersen taking training the next day. Then Danny Mills. There's
no structure to anything, is there?
What are we doing? Like, literally, what are we doing? Honest,
you're just getting by, aren't you? You're just getting by and sort of waiting for something else to happen. Last question I'm going to take from Chris, who says, how much is a season ticket at Swillsborough these days? And wasn't Chansiri selling 10-year season tickets at one point? He was, weren't he? Some people still have them 10-year season tickets, I'm sure. If they're still a thing.
No, they're not a thing anymore, but it was basically the 10 years starts from when we get into the Premier League. So,
does it? Is that what it was? Right, so okay.
They're lifetime season tickets, those ones. I mean, the thing is as well, the writing must have been on the wall back then. Like that is a cash grab. That is I need some money quickly for something.
That's desperation, isn't it?
The fact that the season tickets go on sale like December, for the next season. So we had to, and you know what as well? We were joking about this the other day. Like when it got to Christmas time, there was a slim outside chance we're actually talking about playoffs. We were saying, like, if we just bring in a centre half or
I remember.
striker,
I was watching your stuff. I do watch your stuff from time to time when I can force myself to sit down, because I think you're good at what you do. It's just you cover a terrible team. So I was hearing murmurings of a playoff push.
Well, is there a chance and things like that? And you look back now and you think, like, well, what were we talking about there? But going back to the question in terms of how much is it for a season ticket? I think it's 5. Well, it has that many phases. I have no idea. We have early bird, and then we have phase 1, 2, 3, 4. It does go up by about 50 quid every single time, and forcing you to buy them. That's another thing. I mean, this is the thing. All these things have happened, and I know I've been on for nearly an hour and a half, but I need about a full day to go through everything. I think it's about 700 quid or something for a season ticket if you want to sit on the south stand. I mean, you can sit on the north if you want, but you might only get to half the games at this rate. So
we might get to do it again, mate. We'll see what the uptake is. I've got to say, I would love more of this, lads. The new battle lines is all Sheffield, says Bry. Paul says the new owners of 2 merged clubs wouldn't care about the current fans. Give them a new give the new team a new stadium, 60,000 capacity, and winning games in the top half of the Prem. Would have a whole new fan base of people. Yeah, well,
get them to take over Sheffield FC and they can do it.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, absolutely right.
There's already a team, isn't there? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there is. You don't have to merge us two, because no thanks. Peake says sad, but absolutely no chance that Wednesday will field a competitive team next season. It's not that sad, mate. It's not that sad. Don't worry about that. I don't think they will field a competitive side next season. Can't get any worse, can it, James?
It can.
It can. And on that note, I think it's best that we end. So, James, I just want to say thank you so much, mate, for coming on. It's one of them streams that I didn't really know how it were going to... I know me and you would always have a decent chat, but in terms of how people would take to it, I wasn't quite sure, if I'm honest. Because it's a bit of a taboo thing to do, isn't it? I always like to be open and honest with our people who watch our channel and participate, and that, it's a dodgy thing to talk about, is the other half, and it's such a taboo subject. But go on, mate.
Yeah, and the other thing as well, and I know I've had a laugh and a joke about it. Like, honestly, on a serious level, I am, I suppose, generally worried at some points that that this is happening to the football club and stuff, the club that you love, and you look for. It's entertainment at the end of the day, and I don't feel there's going to be much entertainment whatsoever. This whole pre-season, this whole episode has been just dreadful, really. And there's some other people that all they live for is the football, and I obviously feel for those as well. Like, what's going to happen, and the sad thing as well is a lot of people just thinking I've fallen out of love with football, and that's what it shouldn't be. And again, I know I've been laughing and joking on here and stuff, but you kind of have to, because you have to make a little bit of a joke out of it. Because if you don't, then
you didn't laugh, you cry, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. You'd be in a whole world of pain, and yeah, I just want it to be over. To be fair, I just want it all to be sorted, and we can just move on. And but yeah, it feels like it's a lifetime away at the moment. But hopefully, we're getting somewhere, and it can be sorted sooner rather than later. But I think all the damage has been done, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think hopefully. I mean, I say hopefully. I say it with mixed feelings, really. But hopefully, you're over the worst, aren't you? And I don't think it can get. I know we've just joked about that it can get worse, but. We'll see. But no, I really appreciate you coming on, mate. You didn't have to do that. Rival channel, and just not easy to talk about. I think we're a fairly kind bunch over here in terms of our channel anyway, and you were never going to get too much stick, but still coming on and talking about your woes in front of a United audience, it can't have been easy. So thank you, pal. Very much appreciated. Anything else you want to say just before we get off?
No, in the fear of getting clipped up, so I'll just keep quiet, I think. Okay, not even a subscribe to Wednesday Till I Die or like that. Well, you're not going to come over and subscribe, are you? Really? Like,
listen, more people watch you probably aren't quiet than we'll let on.
We have got some United fans that come in peace when I come on a Sunday.
Yeah,
so but again, they're just giving sympathy, which I'd rather them not do. So, but no, we're thankful for. To be fair, we do on the Wednesday Till I Die podcast, we do have a laugh, we do have a joke on various matters. We do go off on some tangents and stuff, and it's all good. Sundays at 8:00 if people want to tune in.
Nice one, mate. Thanks again for joining us. Really appreciate it, and thank you to everybody that's joined us in the comments. So for now, come on, you red and white wizards, up the blade.